Hello students. Welcome to the online session on airline flight operations. In this session we will be discussing about Introduction to flight operations, Introduction to regulations and scheduling, Flight crew regulations, Flight crew scheduling. Let us first know what flight operations means. Most airlines and other types of air carriers manage their flight operations under a system of prioritized goals including safety, economics and customer service, for example, on-time departures and arrivals. The Airline Flight Operations Department is responsible for the safe and efficient movement of passengers and cargo which ultimately generate the revenue for the airline. The major components needing to be coordinated for any given flight include the aircraft and support equipment, cockpit and cabin crew, maintenance and ground service personnel. Although the maintenance and ground crew activities are critical to support flight operations, the emphasis in this topic is on the regulation and scheduling of the flight crew to conduct a given flight, followed by a detailed discussion of the activities during the phases of a typical revenue passenger flight. Today, we will discuss about airline flight crew regulations and flight crew scheduling. Regulations and scheduling. Before any flight operations can occur, regulatory requirements must be met for the aircraft and flight crew, who also need to be scheduled to meet the demands of the overall network of the airline. Regulations. Air carrier operations are generally regulated by the country of registration and the sovereignty in which the operation is conducted, including the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, in the USA and DGCA in India. International flights may also fall under the jurisdiction of ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, when operating abroad. The principal human component of flight operations is the flight crew, comprising both cabin crew and cockpit crew, also known as pilots. The cabin crew is primarily responsible for passenger safety during the flight. Other duties include providing customer service products, meals, entertainment, etc., and assistance with boarding. Flight attendants receive specialized training in aircraft emergencies, evacuation procedures, medical issues and health hazards, care of special needs passengers, flight regulations and meal service. Cabin crew are required to undergo annual recurrent training for each of the aircraft on which they are qualified. Pilots come from a variety of backgrounds including computer, regional, corporate and general aviation. A pilot's flight experience is primarily measured in hours of flying time, which is further detailed by type of aircraft and conditions of flight. Cockpit crew require licensing by their respective national authorities, including some level of commercial or transport certification, as well as individual qualifications in specific aircraft for larger types, type ratings. Pilots are also required to maintain a minimum health standard which is validated by a licensed medical examiner. Crew members are subject to periodic flight physicals on a recurring basis, 6 or 12 months, which is determined by the certification requirements commensurate with their flight duties. However, pilots' fit-to-fly decision for a given flight is based on a self-assessment of their current physical and mental condition and may result in the crew members temporarily disqualifying themselves for flight activities. In addition, specified guidelines concerning other activities including alcohol consumption, prescription drug use, blood donation and scuba diving must be adhered to and may also result in restrictions from flight duties. General crew regulation. In order to maintain a safe, efficient and smoothly functioning operation, airlines and regulators have developed very detailed procedures to be executed by the crew members with little room for improvisation. These procedures, including normal, abnormal and emergency conditions, are detailed in the crew members' operating manuals and backed up through a system of checklists which are cross-checked between flight crew members. It is the responsibility of the Training or Flight Standards Department to establish crew member proficiency and efficiency. Crew must complete the training regimen established by their airline before meeting the qualification requirements for operating that carrier's aircraft. In most airlines, flight crew also participate in crew resource management, CRM, training as part of their current itinerary. CRM is the effective use by the flight crew of all resources available to them, including people, flight attendants, dispatchers, maintenance, ground, gate personnel and air traffic control, ATC, and other aviation systems. CRM training emphasizes the skills necessary to optimize the human-machine interface, including situation awareness, use of automation systems, team building, task delegation, information transfer, problem solving and decision making. Flight crew scheduling. Cockpit and cabin crew are assigned duty to a given flight by a variety of means. The majority of crew members are assigned to a flight as part of their normal schedules or rosters. A roster describes a crew member's flight activity for some period, typically a month, and consists of sequences of flight duty and days off. For example, 3 days on, 2 days off. Rosters and bid lines may range from 65 to 85 hours spread over 10 to 18 duty days, depending on the carrier's working agreement. A typical duty day consists of 1 to 4 flight legs, but on some days the crew may operate none at all, sit at hotel, or fly more than 5 legs. Many departures require filling an open seat because of a sick call, vacation, including commuting crew members who reside out of base, legality, duty time, issues, or the job was never assigned as part of the normal bid process, open time. It is the responsibility of the crew scheduling department to fill these open seats and satisfy the crewing requirements for each flight. Each roster spot or bid line has a contingency of reserve crew members who are on call and available for the company to use at short notice. In some cases, ready reserves are standing by at the airport. This is all about flight crew regulations and scheduling. We will meet again in the next session. Please feel free to contact us for further questions. Thank you.